Voters will be heading to the polls tomorrow in a Toronto by-election that is being seen as a critical test of the Liberals' popularity. A record 84 candidates are on the ballot in Toronto St. Paul's, a long-time Liberal stronghold, and pollsters may still have the Liberals as the odds-on favorites to win. Political observers, though, are keeping a close eye on how the Conservatives fare and how it could provide a clear indicator on so-called Trudeau fatigue ahead of the next federal election. Let's bring in Lori Turnbull, our political analyst. Thank you very much, Lori, as always, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This is going to be an interesting one tomorrow. How are you feeling? What are you thinking about this?
It's an interesting one because as a by-election and the House is recessed for the summer, all eyes are on this one. And I think because of the Prime Minister's polling numbers, the concerns around whether he's the person to take the Liberals into the next election, it puts a lot of pressure on the Liberals in this riding to show that they can win it. Because if they can't, or if they only win by a little bit, it gives a sense that they're really in trouble for the next election. So I think it'll be interesting to see how many people turn up, because typically a by-election will have a much lower turnout than a regular election. It'll be interesting to see where the Liberals go in this election, right? Like how much is the base still behind the Prime Minister, and what are we going to see tomorrow?
Now, it was Carolyn Bennett's riding, and it was hers for a long time. And it's been a Liberal riding for 30 years. Ken Leslie Church, she's the Liberal candidate. Can she come in and replace Carolyn Bennett, or Don Stewart, who's been very quiet? We haven't seen many interviews with him, the Conservative candidate. Can he make a dent here?
Well, that's it. And I mean, we know that the parties have been working really hard on this. And this is something that, this is one of the reasons why I think this riding is being seen as a test of the Prime Minister, is that he's spent some time there. Ministers have spent some time there. Like, it's clear they are not putting this all on the candidate and saying, look, we hope you could pull this out for us. Like, they are the party and the highest leadership in the party is really making an effort at making sure that the riding is won. And so I think that's why, there's such stress on this riding, because a lot of people are saying, look, if your numbers are that bad, why does Trudeau keep doing this? Why does he keep going on? And every time he's asked, yes, I'm taking the party into the next election, I'm the right person. And when asked about those polling numbers, he will say things like, look, Canada hasn't made up its mind yet. People haven't decided yet. Those are just polls. I'm worried about policy. I'm worried about, fairness for Canadians. I'm worried about housing. And he tries to deflect from those polling results to bring it back to issues that he can talk about. But in the event that the vote doesn't go the way they want on Monday night, it's harder for them to keep saying, look, we're not thinking about the polls, because then it's not just a poll. It's not just an opinion poll. It's not just hypothetical. It's actually something that they tried to do that didn't work. And then, things, not even just the Conservatives are going to be happy about that, but the NDP are going to be really happy about that, because they're the other alternative. They're trying to get some wind in their sails here. And the other thing about this is that this is only one by-election. There are 4 others that have to happen, including one for David Lametti's vacancy that needs to be called within the month. And so the Liberals also have to be thinking, if they don't win this, the other ones are actually nowhere near as safe for them, and could see a couple of NDP wins there. And if that happens, then they've got this series of by-elections that could go a different way. And I think that would require the Liberals to really sit down and say, how are we going to manage the time to the next election?
I want to talk about that in one second, but just with the Conservatives, what would be a win for, other than a win, obviously, but what would be a win for them numbers-wise in this riding?
I know what you're saying, and I think it depends on turnout, so we won't necessarily know that right now, but I think a win is to make the Liberals nervous. A win is to cause enough concern in the Liberal Party to, kind of maybe force that conversation with the Prime Minister in the way that they haven't already. On the other hand, though, the Conservatives don't want Justin Trudeau to go anywhere. They don't necessarily want him to have that conversation, because the Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre have done, clearly they have shown themselves capable of defining Trudeau in a certain way and making this election about him. And they don't want to have to switch gears, because they're winning that battle. They don't want to have to figure out how to handle a new person. Now, maybe they would do that with just as much effectiveness as they have here. I'm just not to count that out. But I don't think the Conservatives and the NDP really want a leadership change on the Liberal side. And so the Conservatives want to show themselves to be strong in the by-election, but not necessarily have anything change for the Liberals.
Okay. Lori, thank you as always for your insight.
Thank you too. Take care.